Hello and welcome to the final session of the Important Environmental Site series. In this series, we had discussed about all the environmentally important sites that are present in all the states of the country, all the prominent environmental sites, starting from the southern states, then to the western states, eastern states, northeast states, the union territories, and finally, in this final session, we will be discussing about the important sites, the important environmental sites that are situated in the states of Himachal Pradesh, the northern states of Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, as well as Haryana. Now, when we talk about the important sites or the environmentally important sites, so in environmentally important sites, we have to study the tiger reserves that are there in the particular state, the elephant reserves, if there are any, the biosphere reserves, the Ramsar wetland sites. So tiger reserves are declared under the Project Tiger, elephant reserves under Project Elephant. The Ramsar wetland sites are recognized according to the Ramsar Convention for Conservation of Wetlands. Then there is the World Heritage Sites recognized by UNESCO, and it consists of the natural, cultural, and as well as mixed sites. Then there are biodiversity heritage sites which are declared or which are recognized under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. There are marine protected areas, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, community reserves, all declared under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So starting with the first important site, for the day, we have the Cold Desert Biosphere Reserve. Now, this Cold Desert Biosphere Reserve is situated in Himachal Pradesh, and it is spread across the district of Lahaul, Spiti, Kinnaur, and parts of the Chamba district. And it is spread across the Trans-Himalayan region, that is the outer Himalayas or beyond the Himalayas. Discussing the geographical features, it lies in a rain shadow region. So that is, it has a dry kind of climate of Himalayas, and therefore it is a cold desert. So it is a cold desert. It lies on the rain shadow Trans Himalayas. That is, the Trans Himalayas is a cold desert area. And the altitude is really high, starting from 3000 meters to 6000 meters above the sea level. The important rivers. Now, when we discuss about these environmentally important sites or the protected areas, the protected forests that we have, it is important to take a note of the important water bodies, particularly the lakes and the rivers that are transversing through the particular forested area or the protected area. So, through this cold desert biosphere reserve, the important river here is the Spiti River, which is tributary of the Satluj River, which transverse through this biosphere reserve. Then it is surrounded by high mountain ranges such as the Zaskar Range as well as the Great Himalayan Range. The type of vegetation, because it is a cold desert, so the vegetation here will be very sparse due to extreme cold and aridity. So there is extreme cold, there is extreme dryness. Okay, and the type of vegetation here will be alpine and cold desert vegetation, and there are trees like juniper, birch, willow, uh, poplar, which are found in the limited patches. So the wildlife here will be, the mammals includes the snow leopard because it is a cold environment, the Himalayan ibex, the blue sheep or the bhadal, the Tibetan wolf, the Himalayan brown bear, and the Himalayan marmot. The birds includes the Himalayan snowcock, the golden eagle, and the bearded vulture. And these species, the wildlife species, both of mammals or the animals or of the birds, they are adapted to the extreme cold in this region, and because of the elevation, because of the altitude, this entire region will also be having a low oxygen concentration. So the species, the animal species or the wildlife species have evolved themselves to survive in the extreme cold as well as low oxygen. Then the significance is that it is this entire cold desert biosphere reserve, this entire landscape is inhabited by indigenous tribal groups such as the Bhotias, the Gaddis, and the Laholis, which are known for their transhuman pastoralism. Okay. So apart from the important water bodies, the second most important thing that we have to take a note regarding these protected areas or the forested area are the population or the names of the local tribal groups or the communities, the local communities that are living in that particular area. So here we have three such tribal groups such as the Bhotias, the Gaddis as well as the Laholis. Then this region contains the unique cold desert ecosystem which is not found in other parts of India. And it is important for conservation of endangered species like the snow leopard. And it also supports the cultural Buddhist cultural heritage with ancient monasteries that is located in Spiti as well as Lahore district of Himachal Pradesh. Moving on to the next important site that we have. So after the biosphere reserve, so in Punjab, Haryana, and Himachal Pradesh, in these three states, we only just have one biosphere reserve that is situated in the state of Himachal Pradesh. Next, moving on to the national parks, that is the most important national park here we have is the Great Himalayan National Park. It is situated in the Kullu district of Himachal Pradesh and lies in the Western Himalayas. Now, this Great Himalayan National Park is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a natural UNESCO World Heritage Site, and was declared in the year 2014. It has an altitudinal range of around 1500 meters to 6000 meters above the sea level, and the major rivers that transverse through this Great Himalayan National Park includes the Tirthan, Sanij, Jivanal, Parvati, which are all the tributaries. These rivers are all the tributaries of the Bias River. Then the terrain here is rugged mountains, alpine meadows, glaciers, as well as river valleys. The type of vegetation that it has. So it has a subtropical pine forest type of vegetation at the lower altitudes. Okay. So because of the high elevation, so it shows the altitudinal variations. Okay. At lower latitudes, at the lower elevations, there are subtropical pine forest. At middle, there are Himalayan temperate broadleaf forest. Then moving further up, it has subalpine forest, and at top it has alpine meadows with the alpine scrub. So starting from bottom to top, it has four distinct vegetation zones. So accordingly, the wildlife here, the main flagship species that is found here is the snow leopard, and along with the Himalayan brown bear, Himalayan tar, the blue sheep or the bhadal, musk deer, the rhesus macaque, which is a declared vermin species in the state of Himachal Pradesh, and the Himalayan black bear. The birds here includes the western tragopan, the Koklas pheasant, the cheer pheasant, as well as golden eagle. Now, the significance of this Great Himalayan National Park is that it is one of the richest biodiversity hotspot in the Himalayas. Okay, and thus the name, the Great Himalayan National Park, and it protects the high altitude ecosystem. It is home to rare and endemic medicinal plants such as the caterpillar fungus or the Yersegumba. Okay, this Yersegumba is a medicinal herb which is found in this Great Himalayan National Park. Then it also provides the crucial ecosystem services such as the river water source for the Bias Basin. So these small tributaries of the Bias, many of them originate in this Great Himalayan National Park. They ultimately join to form the mighty Bias River. The local communities here includes the indigenous groups like the Sanj as well as the Tirthan Valley villagers, which traditionally dependent on the forest for grazing, fuel as well as medicinal herbs. Now it has a very high conservation importance as a high altitude UNESCO site safeguarding the threatened Himalayan fauna and flora. So it is a natural UNESCO World Heritage Site. The next national park that we have to discuss is the Indrakila National Park. It is also situated in the state of Himachal Pradesh and it lies in the Kullu district. And it was declared a national park in the year 2010 and lies close to the Great Himalayan National Park as well as the Khir Ganga National Park. So the uh, Great Himalayan National Park lies somewhere south of the Indrakila National Park, and but these two national parks are adjacent to each other. This is a relatively smaller National Park, having an area of 104 square kilometer, and it has several mountain streams which join the Beas River system in the region. So Beas River, we know, originates from the state of Himachal Pradesh, and this Great Himalayan National Park as well as the Indrakila National Park, it has certain streams originating from these national parks. They ultimately join and merge into the Beas River. Then discussing the type of vegetation here. So it has subtropical and temperate forest at the lower altitudes, the subalpine and alpine vegetation at higher altitude. So it also shows the altitudinal variations. And it has alpine meadows with medicinal plants and herbs similar to the Great Himalayan National Park because it is somewhat lying in the same region. So the wildlife, it shares its wildlife. So many of the species are found both in the Great Himalayan National Park as well as in the Indrakila National Park. So the species includes the snow leopard, the Himalayan brown bear, the Himalayan tar, the blue sheep, the goral, musk deer, and the Himalayan weasel. And the bird species are also same: the western tragopan, the Himalayan monal, the Koklas pheasant, and the cheer pheasant. It is also an important high altitude protected area contributing to the overall Great Himalayan biodiversity landscape and provides a buffer and wildlife corridor between the Great Himalayan National Park and the other parks of the Himachal Pradesh, like the Khir Ganga National Park. It also supports the medicinal plant diversity that is used by the locals for various treatments, and it helps to conserve the endangered species like the snow leopard under the Snow Leopard Conservation Project. Okay, and the local tribal communities are dependent on this Indrakila National Park for their practice of pastoralism as well as subsistence agriculture. The next national park that we have lies adjacent to the Indrakila as well as the Great Himalayan National Park is the Khir Ganga National Park. So all these three national parks, they lie in the Kullu district of Himachal Pradesh, and it was also notified as a national park in the year 2010. It lies in the Parvati Valley, adjoining the Great Himalayan National Park as well as the Indarkila National Park. So all these three national parks, that is the Great Himalayan National Park, the Indarkila National Park, as well as the Khir Ganga National Park, they lie adjacent to each other in the Kullu district of Himachal Pradesh. And the Khir Ganga National Park lies in the Parvati Valley. So the major rivers that transfers through this is the Parvati River and its tributaries. And the name of the valley has also come up with the due to the name of the Parvati River. The terrain, it has steep valleys, alpine pastures, hot water springs, and Khir Ganga particularly is famous for the geothermal springs and its snow-covered peaks. So the type of vegetation, it also shows the altitudinal variation just like the other two national parks. At lower altitudes, at lower elevation, there are subtropical and temperate forests having deodar, pine, horse chestnut, as well as walnut and oak species of trees. At altitudes, there are subalpine forest, and at very high altitudes, at the top altitudes, there are alpine meadows and alpine scrub along with the medicinal plants. Then discussing the wildlife here. So the wildlife here is also quite similar to the Indrakila National Park as well as the Great Himalayan National Park, featuring the snow leopard, the Himalayan brown bear, Himalayan tar, musk deer, blue sheep, Himalayan black bear, etc. And the birds includes the same species like the western tragopan, the Himalayan monal, the cheer pheasant, the Koklas pheasant, and the golden eagle. Now it is also part of the snow leopard conservation landscape in Himachal Pradesh along with the Indarkila National Park and provides ecological connectivity with the Great Himalayan National Park as well as the Indarkila National Park. So all these three national parks, they provide ecological connectivity as well as corridor for the movement of wildlife population from one national park to the adjacent national park. It is also famous for the Khir Ganga hot water spring, which has cultural as well as religious importance in the Hindu as well as the Sikh traditions. And the local tribal groups that inhabit this Khir Ganga National Park region are the Gaddis and the Kinoras, which practice the pastoralism, grazing, as well as traditional herbal medicine. Okay? And it is also an important ecotourism and adventure trekking it is also famous for ecotourism and adventure trekking, particularly in the Parvati Valley, through which the Parvati River flows. The next national park that we have to discuss is the Pin Valley National Park. It is also situated in the state of Himachal Pradesh and lies in the Lahore and Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh. It was declared a national park in the year 1987 and lies in the cold desert region of the Spiti Valley within the Trans Himalaya. Okay, so beyond the Himalayas, in the Trans Himalayan region, just like the cold desert national park, which also lies in the Lahore and Spiti district, this Pin Valley National Park also lies in the Lahore and Spiti district in the cold desert region of the Spiti Valley. So the major river here is the Pin River, which is a tributary of the Spiti River, which ultimately is a tributary of the Satluj River. The terrain here is because the barren cold desert, snow-covered peaks, and it has long winters with a very little rainfall because it is lying in the rain shadow region. So the type of vegetation, according to the climate, it will have sparse cold desert type of vegetation due to aridity, and there are alpine scrubs, herbs, grasses, and medicinal plants. It has patches of willow, birch, and poplar near the villages and streams. And in the cold desert landscape, there are lichens and uh, mosses that also dominate the rocky slopes. Okay, so it has uh, barren as well as barren slopes. So on these barren rocky slopes, there are lichens as well as mosses that are built up. So here the flagship species is snow leopard, as well as Siberian ibex, the blue sheep, the Himalayan wolf, as well as the Himalayan weasel, pika, and marmot are also found here. The birds includes the bearded vulture, the golden eagle, as well as the Himalayan griffon. It is a critical habitat for the endangered snow leopard under the Project Snow Leopard, and it is inhabited by the Buddhist tribal communities, mainly the Scythians who follow the Tibetan Buddhist culture. It contains several of the Buddhist monasteries, example the Kungri Monastery or the Kungri Monastery, and serves as a transition between the Indian Himalayas and the Tibetan Plateau ecosystem. Okay, so this Spiti Valley, it serves as a transition zone between the Himalayan or the Trans-Himalayan and the Tibetan Plateau ecosystem. Now, after discussing the national parks that are situated in the state of Himachal Pradesh, now let's move our attention to the national parks that are located in the state of Haryana. So in Haryana, we have two national parks, that is the Kalisar National Park as well as the Sultanpur National Park. So starting with the Kalisar National Park, it is situated in the Yamunanagar district of Haryana at the border with the Uttar Pradesh as well as Himachal Pradesh. Okay, so it lies at the borders with Himachal Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh and lies in the foothills of the Shivalik range of the Himalayas. So Shivalik range of the Himalayas goes like this, and in the southern foothills of the Shivalik range lies the Kalisar National Park. The major river in this Kalisar National Park is the Yamuna River, which flows along the eastern boundary. Okay, so in its eastern boundary, the river Yamuna flows, and river Yamuna also forms the border between the state of Haryana as well as the state of Uttar Pradesh. Now the terrain, it has Shivalik hills and dense sal forest with grasslands and seasonal streams. The type of vegetation here is the tropical moist deciduous forest with the dominance of the sal tree, and the other trees here include the kher, simal, baheda, amaltas and tur. The wildlife here, the mammals include the leopard, the jungle cat, the Indian jackal, barking deer, sambar, chital, wild boar, nilgai, Hanuman langur, and rhesus macaque. And it also has reptiles like the king cobra, python, as well as monitor lizard. And it has elephants coming from or elephants migrating from the nearby Rajaji National Park, which is situated in the state of Uttarakhand. So it is not the only, so it is one of the first, it is the first national park in the state of Haryana. Okay. And it is It provides an important wildlife corridor between the Rajaji National Park, which is in the state of Uttarakhand, and the Simbalbara Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in the state of Himachal Pradesh. It has rich archaeological sites, including the ancient temples of the Kalesar Mahadev, and provides an ecological balance and groundwater recharge in the region. The other national park, it is also known as the Sultanpur Bird Sanctuary. Earlier, it was known as the Sultanpur Bird Sanctuary. Now it has been designated as a national park, the Sultanpur National Park. It is situated in the Gurugram or Gurgaon district of Haryana, that is in the southern part of Haryana, and lies 40 kilometers from Delhi. It is a very small but ecologically significant area. It is centered around the Sultanpur Lake, which is a seasonal wetland. Okay, and it is fed by rainwater and nearby canals, and historically part of the Najafgarh Jheel system. Okay, the Najafgarh Jheel system that we saw in the case of Delhi. Okay, so this Sultanpur wetland lake or the Sultanpur wetland, which is a seasonal wetland, is a part of that Najafgarh Jheel entire system. So the type of vegetation here includes the wetland vegetation with aquatic plants, grasses, and reeds, with trees such as acacia, bear, neem, kher, and babul growing in the vicinity of the lake. It has also the plantations of the eucalyptus as well as Prosopis juliflora in the surrounding areas, and both this eucalyptus as well as the Prosopis juliflora are the invasive species in the region. Or now this Sultanpur National Park, because it is centered around a Sultanpur lake, so it is important or it is famous for the migratory as well as resident birds, and it was earlier also a bird sanctuary. So the migratory birds here includes the greater flamingo, the painted stork, the Eurasian spoonbill, the bar-headed goose, and black-necked stork. The resident birds also includes the grey francolin, which is the state bird of the state of Haryana, the Indian roller, the purple sunbird, and the hoopie. It was declared a bird sanctuary in the year 1972, and on the recommendation of Dr. Salim Ali, the famous ornithologist, that is the professor of ornithology. Is a very prominent figure in the field of study of birds in the country. But it was later upgraded into a national park in the year 1991. It is an important stopover along the Central Asian Flyway for migratory birds and serves as the urban biodiversity hotspot near Delhi. And it helps conserve shrinking wetland ecosystem in the northern part of the country, especially around Delhi. Next, we have the important wetlands or the Ramsar sites that are located in these state of Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, as well as Haryana. Starting with the Chandratal wetland, that is situated in the state of Himachal Pradesh. It is situated in Lahore and Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh and lies as the source of the Chandra River near the Kunzum Pass of Himalayas. And it was declared a Ramsar wetland site in the year 2005. The geographical features here includes it is a high altitude lake, and has a crescent shape, and it is also known as the moon lake because of its crescent shape. It is fed by the glacial melt and snow from the surrounding peaks, and it drains into the Chandra River, which is a tributary of the Chenab River. So the type of vegetation that is found around this Chandratal wetland is the sparse alpine and cold desert vegetation because it lies in the cold desert landscape. It has alpine meadows in summers, grasses, sedges, and wildflowers. The wildlife here is the snow leopard, which are rarely seen, the Himalayan ibex, red fox, Himalayan wolf, the Himalayan marmot. And because it is a wetland, so it has important bird or it is a site for the breeding site for the birds. It is an important breeding ground for ruddy shelduck, the brown-headed gull, the bar-headed goose, and the Himalayan snowcock. The significance is that this Chandrasal wetland is ecologically important as a high altitude Ramsar site in the Trans-Himalayan region and is an important key stopover for the migratory birds in the Central Asian flyway. It is sacred for the locals and trekkers and is associated with the legends of Mahabharata in the legend of Pandavas in Mahabharata. It attracts ecotourism and trekking, but faces pressure from excess tourism as well as overgrazing in the region. It also supports the unique cold desert ecosystem that is found in the region, which is similar to that of Ladakh and the Spiti Valley. The next wetland, the important wetland, is the Renuka wetland, which is situated in the Sirmaur district of Himachal Pradesh and was declared a Ramsar site in the year 2005. And it lies in the foothills of the outer Himalayas. It is a natural lake. So, the most important thing to note here is that it is a natural lake formed by the geological and tectonic processes. And it is surrounded by hills covered with the mixed forest. The type of vegetation that is around this Renuka wetland is the subtropical and temperate vegetation with sal trees dominating the landscape. And there are other tree species including the kher, shisham, chirpine, mango, and jam. Now, it is home to some of the very important bird population, including the crimson-breasted barbet, bulbuls, parakeets, Indian pond herons, the coot, dabbling ducks, and cormorants. The mammals, which is found in the surrounding sanctuary. So, surrounding this Renuka wetland, we have the Sirmaur Wildlife Sanctuary in the state of Himachal Pradesh. Okay. Now, this Renuka wetland is extremely sacred wetland and it is associated with the legend of goddess Renuka, that is the mother of sage Parshuram, and is an extremely important pilgrimage site. It was declared the Renuka Wildlife Sanctuary around the lake for the protection of flora and fauna and provides the cultural, religious, as well as ecological value. It supports the groundwater recharge and sustains the surrounding agriculture, as in an it is also an important site for ecotourism and bird watching. Next, we have the Bhindabas Wildlife Sanctuary in the state of Haryana. It is situated in the Jhajjar district and was declared a wildlife sanctuary in the year 1986 and is also a Ramsar wetland site. It was declared a Ramsar wetland site in the year 2021. It is a man-made freshwater wetland. So, unlike the wetlands, the Renuka wetland in the state of Himachal Pradesh, this Bhindabas wetland that is in the state of Haryana, it is a man-made freshwater wetland and it functions as a natural floodwater storage basin in the region. So the type of vegetation it has the wetland vegetation, including the reeds, sedges, grasses, and the dayland trees. Example, the Prosopis juliflora and the acacia, or the babul tree, bear, as well as neem. It has also plantations of eucalyptus in the surrounding areas. So this Vindavas Wildlife Sanctuary is also an important bird. Uh, it is important for the conservation of bird species. It has over 250 species of birds recorded, including both the residents as well as the migrant species of the birds. So the migratory species includes the bar-headed goose, the grey-lag goose, the northern pintail, and the resident birds includes the purple herons, the Indian cormorant, and others. Some of the mammals are also found in the surrounding region, that is the nilgai, blackbuck, jackal, jungle cat, Indian hare, and mongoose. The reptiles here includes the monitor lizard, cobra, python, and turtles. It is the largest man-made wetland in the state of Haryana and acts as a bird sanctuary and important wintering ground along the Central Asian flyway. And it provides irrigation and groundwater recharge to the nearby valleys because it is an artificially produced man-made freshwater lake. And together with the Sultanpur National Park, it forms a crucial habitat for the birds in the National Capital Region. It was it was designated a Ramsar site for increasing its conservation importance. Next, we have the important sites in the state of Punjab, particularly the Nangal Wildlife Sanctuary or the Nangal Wildlife Sanctuary, situated in the Ropar district of Punjab. It is near the Nangal township and the Bhakra Nangal Dam on the Satluj River. It was declared a wildlife sanctuary in the year 2009 and is also a Ramsar wetland site that was declared in 2019. It is a freshwater wetland ecosystem formed by Satluj River and the reservoir waters of the Bhakra Nangal system. So Bhakra Nangal is a very large dam that is uh, a very large hydroelectric project which is made on the Satluj River, and because of that, we get this fresh water wetland ecosystem that is formed due to the reservoir water of the Bhakra Nangal Dam. The terrain here includes the riverine wetlands, the marshes, as well as the forested patches. Okay, the type of vegetation here we have the riverine as well as wetland vegetation with trees like the acacia, jamun, shisham, mulberry, and eucalyptus in the surrounding region. It is also an important wintering ground for migratory birds. Along with the migratory birds, it also has the resident birds. The mammals includes the rhesus macaque, jackal, Indian hare, mongoose, nilgai, and wild boar. It also has a rich fish diversity due to the Satluj River. So freshwater fishes are plenty in this Nangal Wildlife Sanctuary. It is linked to the Bhakra Nangal Dam project that is a major irrigation as well as hydropower system in the North India. It is recognized as a Ramsar wetland site for supporting migratory water birds along the Central Asian Flyway. It provides ecosystem services like the groundwater recharge, most important, the fisheries as well as flood regulation because of the presence of the Bhakra as well as the Nangal Dam. It is a extremely important ecotourism and bird watching area in the state of Punjab. Next we have is the Bias Conservation Reserve. It is situated along the Bias River in Punjab, mainly in Amritsar, Taran as well as Gurdaspur district. It was declared a conservation reserve in the year 2017 and designated as Ramsar wetland site in the year 2019. Now, conservation reserves are declared under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So the terrain here, it is a freshwater river ecosystem with islands, sandbars, and the riparian vegetation. It is fed by snow melt from the Himalayan as well as the local tributaries. So the riparian vegetation here includes the grasses, reeds, and aquatic plants. The riverine trees are the acacia, the shisham, jamun, as well as eucalyptus, which is a invasive species. Now, the wildlife here, it is unique for the presence of the River dolphin. Okay, so Indus River dolphin is found in the Bias River. This Indus River dolphin is endangered and is reintroduced in this stretch of the Bias Conservation Reserve. The mammals here includes the smooth-coated otters, the jackals, nilgais, and wild boar. And it has also this species of the ghadial, which has been reintroduced in the conservation reserve, the Indian soft-shell turtle, and monitor lizards. It is the first site in India to have the community-led dolphin as well and the ghadial conservation. So this Bias Conservation Reserve is the foremost site in India in which we have the community led. So the local community is leading the dolphin as well as the gharial conservation program. It is crucial for the Indus River dolphin, which is the Punjab's state aquatic animal, and it serves as the biodiversity hotspot for the aquatic fauna in the Indus Basin. It provides ecosystem services like the fisheries, the groundwater recharge, and the flood control, and acts as an ecological corridor connecting the wetlands and the agricultural landscapes. Then we have another important community reserve, that is the Keshopur Miani Community Reserve, which is situated in the Gurdaspur district of Punjab. It was declared India's first community reserve in the year 2007. Now, this Keshopur Miani Community Reserve, the foremost fact that you have to remember, it is the first community reserve that was declared in the entire country. So it becomes extremely important. And it is also was declared a Ramsar wetland site in the year 2019. Okay, it is a part of the Bias River floodplains, and the terrain includes the seasonal marshes, the shallow ponds, the agricultural fields, and fish ponds. The type of vegetation here includes the aquatic vegetation and the surrounding trees. It is also an important community reserve for the birds. It has over 90 resident as well as migratory species of birds, including it also includes the mammals like the jackals, mongoose, nilgai, and the reptiles, including turtles, monitor lizard, and cobra. The significance is that the foremost point is that it is the first community reserve in India, and it showcases the people-led wetland conservation. And it is managed jointly by the local community along with the forest department. Okay. It provides the livelihood for the local population through fishing, agriculture, as well as ecotourism, and is a critical stopover for migratory birds along the Central Asian flyway. It demonstrates a very successful model of community-based biodiversity management under the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act of 2002, or that is the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Next, we have the Harike wetland. It is situated at the confluence of the Bias as well as the Satluj River. So, the Bias River ultimately merges with the Satluj River. So, and at that confluence point, we have the Harike wetland. And this Harike wetland is spread across the Taran Taran Sahib as well as the Firozpur and Kapurthala district of Punjab. It was declared a Ramsar wetland site in the year 1990. And it is also known as the Harike Pattan. Okay, this Harike wetland is also known as the Harike Pattan. It was formed in the year 1953 after the construction of the Harike Barrage at the confluence of the at the confluence of Bias River with the Satluj River. Okay. It is a freshwater wetland that comprises of shallow lake, marshes, reed beds, and the river channels. The type of vegetation it has aquatic vegetation as well as the riparian vegetation, including the shisham, acacia, jamun, arjun, as well as the eucalyptus trees. Then, just like the other wetlands, it is an important area for the avian biodiversity. Okay, so it has over 200 species of birds, including the migratory as well as the resident birds. The migrants includes the bar-headed goose, the common teal, the pintail, the coot, the tufted duck, and it includes the critically endangered species like the white-rumped vulture, the steppe eagle, as well as the Palace's fish eagle. The mammals includes the Indus dolphin, which is rare because the river dolphin, this Indus river dolphin, is found in the Bias River. Okay, the coated otters are there. The wild boar, nilgai, and jackals are there. It also has reptile species including the soft-shelled turtles, the monitor lizards, and snakes. It is the largest wetland in northern India and one of the most important wintering ground for the waterfall in the South Asia. So this Harike wetland, the largest wetland in the entire North India, and it is vital habitat in along the Central Asian flyway. So all the wetlands that we have, that is in in the state of Himachal Pradesh or in the state of Haryana or Punjab, that are an important. They lie along the route of the Central Asian flyway, okay, and are important stopovers. It supports the local livelihoods through fishing because it is a very large wetland. So it is important for fisheries. It is important for livestock grazing as well as ecotourism. And what it does is because of its sheer size, it helps in flood control, the groundwater recharge, and water purification. But this large wetland, this Harike wetland, faces threat just like the other wetlands, particularly from the eutrophication, because in is a Punjab is an agrarian state, and the farmers of Punjab they uh, they were the ones who adopted the green revolution first, and they use ample amount of fertilizers in their fields. So the fertilizers they run off and cause the eutrophication in the wetlands. Then there are invasive species like the water hyacinth, industrial pollution, as well as siltation. So these were the important biosphere reserve, the national parks, the wildlife sanctuaries, the bird sanctuaries, the Ramsar wetland sites that are important and are located in the northern states such as Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, as well as Haryana. So with this, we have completed the environmentally important site series. Please do have a look